on real estate, and Miss Bedward was so gracious to come back with us and answer a few more questions because you guys wanted some more. So everybody is here, and we spoke about the process of actually acquiring a house. And so the big question is, before you actually buy the house, you're renting, right? So we want to talk a little bit about the benefits of renting versus owning, and why ultimately owning is going to be the biggest money move that you can make as a young person or anybody.
All right. So renting. Let me first start. If you're able to stay in your family home and
Right?
save up that deposit, do so. You can still contribute to the utilities or
Yes.
even say give a portion of money and say, all right, this is rent.
Right, exactly. Your
Yes,
contribution.
yes. So renting or staying with your family, it allows you that flexibility to save. And I must say, I was grateful enough to be offered that opportunity.
Right.
Living with family, they said, all right, you don't have to move out to rent. Just stay here an extra year or two
Mm-hmm.
and save your deposit
Right,
for
absolutely.
to going into owning your own home. When you're an owner, there are all the issues that may arise with the property. You have that
Yes,
responsibility of
yes,
fixing.
yes.
So if there's a pipe that's a leaky pipe somewhere in the
Mm-hmm.
yard, you don't have that privilege of calling your landlord to come
Right.
and fix. If there is
It's
something,
all
an
on
issue
you.
with the roof, you don't have that privilege.
Termites.
Exactly. And termite treatment can
Yes,
cost
yes.
a good penny. Can cost a good penny.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. Um, it allows you to save your deposit,
Absolutely.
save your money, and make sure when you're renting or staying with family, you don't go out every weekend and
Mm-hmm.
party and buy the
Mm-hmm.
latest.
Mm-hmm.
Have a goal in mind. Give yourself
Exactly.
a timeline
Yes.
to say when you want to acquire this asset. When you go ahead, you have a
Go
question?
on.
Okay, so when you purchase your house now, what are one of some of the benefits? If you had asked
Right,
benefits,
right.
the benefits. All right, one, that home will acquire what you call equity
Mm-hmm.
over time.
Right, absolutely.
It acquires equity over time because the property appreciates.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually pull out that equity later down if you want to purchase another property.
Right.
Um, it would be good if you could purchase a property that allows you the option of living on one side
Yes.
and renting
Renting
the
the other
other
side.
side.
Well, I want to ask you a question because you mentioned the opportunity where you could leverage the property and actually buy properties, and I see a lot of people becoming serial real estate
Yes,
entrepreneurs. So they
yes,
say, I know a young doctor. She says she has 3 homes.
yes,
Right, and one of the things is that people are seeing the real benefits of being able to use these properties
yes,
as investments right now.
yes.
But I want to ask you another question. Do you think that there is a danger in this market of owning so much real estate, or how much house can somebody really afford? Because we know foreclosure can be an issue. A young person buying their first home, I know that you mentioned in the prior episode that, all right, it doesn't have to be a forever home, but persons, do you find that persons tend to want to buy more house than they can afford? And
Yes,
how do you bring them
yes.
back down?
Well, you said something leverage, and I'll just stick a pin right there to come back to it.
Right.
And I'll also say when you purchase a property, Beecher, for some persons,
Mm-hmm.
for some entrepreneurs, or it can drive or it starts appealing to a real estate appetite.
Right,
So
right.
you get one, you get a taste of something, and it
Mm-hmm.
just sparks the interest to start doing something else,
Right,
to
right,
purchase
right.
something else. Once you buy a property and go back to that renting
Yes.
in the scenario that I gave with living on one side,
Right.
um renting on the other side,
Yes.
sometimes the rent can cover the mortgage for your
Absolutely.
property or even a
Absolutely.
50% of your mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
And that rental income, some banks will consider it, or most banks do consider it as income. So that's an
Mm-hmm.
additional source of income, separate and
Right.
apart from your regular 9 to 5 or whatever other income generating business that you may encounter.
Yes, yes.
So that rent is also part of your income. I know some banks will give you use 75% of that rental amount as
Mm-hmm.
your income. Some go even 90% of
Okay.
that rental
Okay.
amount as your income. So
Right.
once the property can pay for itself, you're ready to go again.
Ready to
You're ready to
go.
go again. From you can show financial proof that yes, I can afford to purchase another property. The
Right.
bank will offer you a mortgage. And that second property that you purchase, you may choose to use it as Airbnb or um, long-term rentals.
Right.
And once that mortgage can cover by the rent, you're ready to go again. You're ready to
Right.
go again. You had asked a question: how much can persons purchase? Is there owning a thing as owning
Too much
too
house.
much, having too much on their
Yeah, but
portfolio?
but from the perspective though of the income ratio. So I know that back in the day they say it was 10,000 per million in terms of a mortgage. So just give an estimate. Like right now, what would a nice two-bedroom apartment go for? Maybe like in Kingston 19 area.
All right, Kingston 19, two-bedroom apartment. Um, I'll put it somewhere between 30 to 35 million. So
Hmm.
you're looking on a mortgage on that to say probably about 180,000. These are just
Right,
estimates.
guesstimates.
And
Right.
also remember, the bank will consider certain factors such as your age,
Hmm.
how many, and that shows how many years you have left
Right,
to
exactly.
repay. So that quotation is based on maybe a 30-year
A 30-year
mortgage
mortgage, right?
yeah,
At
repayment.
180,000, right? So
Okay.
one of the things why we really came back to that is that a two-bedroom in Kingston 19 is running 35
30 to
to
35.
40 million. So one of the things, even as you budget to save your deposit, is that you have to make sure that when you're covering your four walls in terms of your utilities, your transportation, and food, your mortgage now has to be able to fit within your budget so that you don't have more house, or you don't have more month at the end of the month than actual money. So you have to really put it in your budget to understand that, all right, $180,000 is coming out, and I'm going to have to budget my money because I have to live outside of owning the house because uh, I find that not a lot of people, but some persons, they came into a deal too quickly. They wanted to buy the house so badly and in that
Yes,
neighborhood.
yes,
So the only thing that they can
yes,
afford now
yes.
is the house, but they can't really do much else.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
But you were making a point to say that for persons who actually plan it out, you can leverage it. So talk to us about that now.
All right, leverage, the ultimate big money move.
Yes,
So it goes back to what we're saying, the house just paying for itself.
paying for itself.
Paying for
Wow.
itself. Just the house paying for itself. So if you came into a deal then
Yes.
prematurely and you decide that you're still going to go ahead. And another thing, Chris, it's an investment.
Yes.
It's an investment, and just like with the stock market,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it requires a level of risk taking.
Yes.
But the real estate is probably one of the most stable investment that you'll ever make.
That's so true.
Yes,
That is
yes.
so
So
true.
back to your earlier example of coming into the deal. So maybe something that you can look at. Say this $180,000 mortgage at that time. You came into the deal, but this will be the mortgage. Maybe what you can consider in that situation
Mm-hmm.
is renting.
Yes.
Renting out that property, and you continue to stay wherever you were previously
Right.
positioned, because that rent, you can rent it out for the 180, and that rent is sufficient to
To
cover
cover the
that
mortgage.
mortgage,
Right. Right.
and you continue to live in with your previous expense,
Arrangements. Yes.
exactly,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
expenses.
So.
And you have a property there
Mm-hmm.
that's gen over generating income, and
Yes.
over time will give you additional assets,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Mm-hmm.
still living within the
Right.
rest.
So now that we've covered all of that, I have been searching, I've been looking through the classifieds, I've been looking on the various apps, I've been in touch with you, and you put me on private client services, etc. I've identified a property and I'm ready to go ahead with it. How do I move forward in terms of putting an offer down?
All right, glad you asked that question, Chris. So, as a real estate agent, we have a certain checklist, and maybe that's something I can provide to you and you post it after this video.
Sure.
I have a checklist, and I've done a flyer, nicely designed flyer for clients. One thing that you'll need are the two important documents as regards your finances. You will have to submit proof that you have your deposit ready.
Right.
So whether it's that 5 or 10%,
Okay.
you will have to submit proof that yes, I have this money in bank or wherever ready should my offer be accepted.
Right.
Another thing that you'll have to present to the seller is your pre-qualification letter.
Right.
So that shows that yes, I am serious. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm not just window shopping. I have the financial backative to support the purchase
But
of this property.
you said not just window shopping. Do you find that clients waste their time? They come, they know they're not ready to buy, and they want to see the property. How do you manage
I
that?
do get a lot of that. I do get a lot of that, and this may sound cheeky, but gas expensive now.
Yes, we have to watch every little thing.
Gas is expensive, and they say time is money.
Yes.
So the important thing is to steer the client in the right direction.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yes, I can add you to the private service, private client system, and you can look at properties from your computer screen. But the moment that we're going to go out and start looking at properties, that pre-qualification letter has to be in place.
Yes,
It has
absolutely.
to be in place. So if the person is not yet pre-qualified, my job there at that point is to direct them to the proper channel, to direct them to the bank.
Right. Wow.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So we mentioned submitting the offer. So those two financial documents are important. Another thing that your agent will present you with is an offer to purchase form, and that will contain the details of your offer.
Right.
So whether you're going to do full price offer or whatever the offer will be, will have your personal information, and it will also have your attorney details.
Okay.
So should
Perfect.
the offer get accepted,
Yes.
the next stage is to send the sale agreement to your attorney. So they need to know who to contact.
Right.
There's another section of documents that will require your customer information form, because we're as real estate agents, as real estate professionals, we're required to keep all client information, submit those to the broker.
Right.
So we will need your client customer information form completed. We will also require photo IDs, proof of address, and the proof of address is usually in the form of a utility bill, such as your JPS or your NWC bill or your internet bill.
Right.
Any utility bill. If those are lacking, then we would require you to get a letter from a justice officer.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, I want to talk about closing costs as something that's important, because I don't think we touched on that before, because a lot of times people forget about the closing costs. But if we're also talking about closing costs, how long does it normally take for the deal to close?
All right.
Because you put in an offer.
Yes.
I mean, when can I expect to get the keys to my brand new place?
Good question. And I think a lot of persons are not prepared for the wait time.
Yes.
A lot of persons are not prepared for that wait. So from the moment of submitting the offer, all the documentation's checked. Offer goes over to the sellers. They'll vet those offers. Usually within a week max, you will get back a response whether or not your offer is accepted or rejected. Once it's accepted, the next step is your sale agreement.
Right.
That offer that you submitted is not a binding offer.
Right.
It's not binding. It's not legal. It cannot stand in the court of law. So the next step is a sale agreement, which is already sale contract, and that has all, and those are prepared by your attorney.
Right.
That's where things get legal now.
Yes.
And it's over from the real estate agent. Now the ball is in the attorney's court. So your attorney will vet that document, ensure everything is correct.
Right.
We usually recommend that the vendor has an attorney representing them, or recommend our purchaser they'll have their own attorney who is representing their best interest.
Right.
So your attorney will review that draft sale agreement, ensure everything is correct, everything is there to their liking. And then once that vetting process is completed, you'll be supplied with the final draft of the sale agreement, and upon signing that sale agreement, that's when you're required to pay your deposit.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Once that deposit is paid and the sale agreement is signed, it goes back to the vendors for them to sign because it must be
Right.
executed by both parties.
Okay. Okay.
Both parties. And that agreement will come back to the purchaser that
Mhm.
they can then take to the bank along with proof that they've
Mm.
paid their deposit.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
the bank will also require them to, or the purchaser, to do the valuation report. And as we
Yes.
said, there's a cost to that, and the surveyor's ID report,
Right.
because the
Right.
bank has to protect their interest too.
Right.
So they
Of
want
course.
to ensure that the cost of the property, what you're paying, is what the property values.
Actually, that's a good point. And you mentioned the bank wanting to protect their interest as well. And one of the things that a lot of people, they come in, they want to do a real estate deal, and they don't have any life insurance. And a big part of actually purchasing a home is, to having that life insurance. And so when you go to take out the mortgage, the bank wants to make sure that if anything were to go awry or anything were to go default, you died or anything, that the bank would have a way to recoup the money that they would have issued out on the loan for the mortgage towards you. So having life insurance is so critical in the process. It can
Yes,
slow down the
yes,
process sometimes
yes, yes,
because based on the amount of
yes.
the cost of the house and the amount of life insurance that you would need to actually assign to the lending institution, getting that life insurance policy, you may have to do a medical to get
Yes.
that amount of coverage, and sometimes that can also delay the process. But you can get in touch with me. I'm your favorite financial advisor, and I can walk you through the process for getting your life insurance for mortgage purposes, of course.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've received a few calls from clients that said, okay, I have a life insurance offer. They may not have their pre-qualification, but they believe that because I have a life insurance of
Right,
25 mil, I can borrow 25 million.
right, right,
And that's
right.
not the case. That's
Right,
not the case. So the life insurance, it is just as important as your pre-qualification, as
yes,
it's also as all the other documentations required.
right,
I remember talking to a mortgage officer, and she said, "Listen, the bank is not in the business of real estate. They're not in the business of repossessing your home. Say
exactly,
a couple purchase a property and one person dies,
yes,
the bank don't really want to throw out that next party and
exactly,
and
exactly,
to foreclose on that property. So if one person dies, the loan is automatically paid off, and the
exactly,
person don't have to worry about
exactly.
anything. So the
That's
life
that's that's the
insurance,
that's the power of it, people. You know.
exactly, exactly, exactly. The debt dies with the debt.
Yes.
The
Wow.
debt dies upon death.
Well, guys, you heard it yourself. Protect your income, and this has been a very eye-opening experience for a lot of you, because a lot of persons, they want to get into the housing market, and there are a lot of hoops for you to jump through. But when you're aligned with a top real estate agent like Miss Bedward, and you have the right financial advisor, life insurance advisor like myself, we can help to make this process easier for you and your family.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Praise
So,
God.
is there anything else that you want
Well,
to
you
cover?
you you, you did ask would the time frame
Yes.
for closing. So usually once you're going through mortgage, we can expect say at 90 to 120 days closing. So that's
Okay.
3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months.
Granted,
I thought it
all
was 6.
it can be, but
Oh
average 3 to 4.
God. Three
That
to
you're
four months.
100% correct. I've had transactions that last a year.
Wow, wow,
A
wow,
year.
wow.
A year. There's so many factors at play, so many connecting parts, and you
Yes.
just sometimes you have to have to walk behind certain transactions.
Right, right, right.
So it's a lot of moving parts. It's not as easy as
Yes.
1, 2, 3. You do have some transactions that will go through smoothly,
Smoothly.
smooth. But there are others that
Yes.
have hiccups. The house buying process is not one of the largest investments that someone will ever make.
Right. So you said that purchasing a home is one of the biggest.
Yes, so purchasing a home is one of the biggest investments anyone will
Right.
make in their
Right.
lifetime.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
So guys, whenever you're going for to make that move, you have to think very carefully, plan ahead, right? Write the vision for what you want, and of course, make sure that it is well within your budget. So you have had all the right connections this morning. So whenever you're ready to purchase your house, expect you to get in touch with.
Oh, let me.
All right. And when you want to get your life insurance for the coverage or any other financial advice.
Christopher B.
All right. So thank you guys for joining us for another exciting episode of the Money Talk Show, and thank you again, Sasha,
My
for being with
pleasure.
us.
It was my pleasure.
I had a great time. All right. Over now. Blessings.